Hello and welcome back to the Chelsea Pants Sew Along. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my skinny hack. This is something that's gotten a lot of attention and I posted a brief kind of hack-torial on my blog, but I thought I would make it a little bit clearer with a video today. In order to do this hack, and it's not just for the skinny, also if you just felt like you want to do the Chelsea pants but you want to have a little bit less flare, you could use this same method to achieve the level of flare that you want from the pants. And so I'm going to show you how to do that today. I'm not going to show you the entire process of constructing the pant because you can follow along with the sew along videos. The construction won't change after you've changed your pattern pieces. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and show you what I did to my pattern pieces in order to achieve those changes. You're going to need your back pants piece and your front pants piece. You won't be messing with the waistband at all, so you don't need to have those pieces out, and you won't be doing anything to the pockets either. So I'm going to bring you on down to my cutting mat and start with the pants back. Okay, so here we have our Chelsea pants back piece. And you're going to want to have already done whatever lengthening or shortening alterations that you would need. But the first thing that you're going to do is take a ruler and you're going to want to extend the grain line. The grain line, as it's written on the pattern, only goes from here to here. And in order to be able to make sure that your pattern remains on grain, you're going to want to extend that grain line. And I'm just going over what I've already done. Extend that grain line all the way up and down your pattern. That way you can make sure that it's staying on grain, and you're going to do that to the front pattern piece as well. So you've got the grain line, just take your ruler and extend it all the way up, maybe about, just shy of the hip area. Okay, so you've extended your grain line. Now I'm going to start with the back pants piece and show you what I did. This is the back pants piece as is. The purple line shows what I did for my skinny hack and what I ended up with. The pink line is going to be what would happen if you drew straight down, if you wanted a more straight-legged pant. So what I would recommend doing first is starting at the knee line, and that's marked on your pattern. It says knee line. Starting at that point, and instead of flaring out, if you wanted a straighter legged pant, I would just take your ruler, and again, making sure that your pattern is staying consistent with the grain line, just draw a line straight down there to the hem, and then do the same thing with the other side. So starting at that approximate knee line, maintaining even with the grain line, and drawing straight down. So that's how you would adjust your back pattern piece if you wanted more of a straight leg. So you would lose that flare on the sides, and then you would do something similar to the front pattern piece. Again, starting at the approximate knee line, which is marked on the pattern, and drawing a line straight down, making sure that you're even with the grain line as you do that. Okay? And you would do that on both the center front seam and for the inseam. Now if you want something more skinny, that would just kind of be a straight leg. If you wanted something more skinny, I would start there because that's kind of how I started. You could taper it in a little bit, taper it in on each side and cut that out and baste that together and see how that is. You can see that what I ended up with was actually taking quite a bit, even starting up here, more at the hip. These pants are really fitted in the hip and the waist, so I didn't mess with anything above the hip. But I even took it in a little bit above that, the knee line, and all the way down. So I ended up with what the purple is. But that was through a process of basting and trying it on and rebasting and trying it on. The key part when you're adjusting these is that you want to make sure that that center front seam where the front of the pants connects to the back. And the back kind of, you know, in real life, the pattern piece isn't going to want to do this very well. But essentially it wraps around like this to create the center front. So you're going to want to make sure that that remains in the center of your leg. So that's why basting it and trying it on is important, to make sure that you don't end up taking too much off the back or too much off the front and causing that seam to shift to one side or the other. So that's why it's kind of there's no specific scientific formula. This is sort of a process of trial and error if you're doing the skinny hack. I think the straight leg hack would be a little bit more straightforward because you would just be following the knee line down to keep it straight. But it's really, you know, not that hard. You just have to have a little bit of confidence playing around with the pattern as you go, and you know, just give it a try. You know, if you're basting them, if you're cutting them, you know, extra wide to start with, and then you're basting it as you go, you know, you don't really have anything to lose. Just make sure that when you're done, that you come back and take your basted pieces apart and mark those lines like I did on your pattern for next time, so that you know where, you know, the next time you want to do the skinny pants, you know exactly what to do. One final thing that I would recommend is to make sure that your fabric has enough stretch. The Chelsea pants only require 25% stretch, but if you're essentially kind of creating skinny jeggings, that's going to require a higher degree of stretch, and not only two-way stretch, it's going to require four-way stretch. So make sure that, you know, I would say, I mean, I don't have something really scientific for this, but I would say 50 to 75% horizontal stretch, you know, and at least, I don't know, maybe like 40 or 50% vertical stretch would be appropriate. And there are a lot of really stretchy pont fabrics that have four-way stretch, or scuba knit is a great one that tends to have four-way stretch. So you want to just make sure that you're using, you know, a thicker fabric with four-way stretch in order to maintain that. Even some stretch denims have quite a bit of stretch, but if you only have two-way stretch, it's not going to be very comfortable when you bend your knee or when you sit down. So after you've done, you know, your skinny part, you're going to just assemble the pattern as it's written out, and I will be back with a series of videos throughout the week to show you how to do that. Thank you for joining me for the skinny hack, and you can also check out my blog, sewingwithsarah.com. Has more on the skinny hack and some photos of my skinny pants. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you back for the Chelsea Pants Sew Along later.